Good afternoon. Are you able to hear me? Great. So as Guy said, let's start shipping, right? so I, so I'm Pawan Jadhav. I'm the CEO of Latitude. A little bit about myself, and I'll get into introducing the panel members as well. I have been in the space for the last 20 plus years, mostly been in business process reengineering. If you remember the days of when you had that ERP to be implemented, the first thing you did, that you did was re-engineer the process. So find out what are the non-value adding activities, remove them, and put that system in there. Right? That little did I know that pretty much defined my life since the last 20 years. Went on to implement ERP applications all across the US. Prior to starting Latitude, I was involved in handling sales and operations for a BPO company. So now that all brings together what Latitude stands for is there's operations, there's software, there's BPM. It all points to only a few things. So there's RPA, there's BPM, there's process mining, process assessment. So that's what Latitude stands for. I have a couple of slides that now that I have the opportunity and your attention, I'll give you an idea about what Latitude does, not more than 2 slides, and then we'll right away get into the panel discussion. So this thing works. So the technology ecosystem that we represent here and elsewhere is the intelligent automation technology landscape. So right from start to how you look at a process, extract data from documents or cases or emails, how you hand it over to a process, how you hand it over to a robot to take care of that data, and then how do you integrate that into your systems? We specialize in the entire landscape of those things. So Envision is our own tool set that is focused on data extraction. So you may have seen Abby or Effisoft, those kind of tool sets which extract data from. So what we have done is we have scaled down that version and we said, we do not need to make it too complicated for business users. So let's create something which is very specific, which handles certain use cases, which a BPM toolset needs or a robot needs, and let's drive that through this toolset. So it's kind of instead of calling it a product, we are calling this as a plugin. Right? Then we are specialized in Bizagi. We are a Bizagi partner. We are UiPath partner as well. What is not listed here, for obvious reasons, is Blue Prism. We are also a Blue Prism partner. We are one of their 20 global partners all across the US. We started in 2.5 years back, and we are almost now 45 employees in the US, Canada, and India. Right. So our focus has been throughout right the day when we started and when we started talking to our customers. If you look at this entire category of tool set, it is being marketed to business users. Right? And the reason why this is being marketed to business users is to provide the freedom for them to automate their own processes. So if you look at the name that we have, Latitude, it's a play on the word latitude, which is providing latitude or providing freedom to business users as well as us to automate those processes. So when we say that if we want to enable them, then how do we enable the business users to take these tool sets, automate these processes, and run with them? And that's where this phased approach comes in, where in the first 4 to 12 weeks, we work with the customers, we automate a couple of processes, we train their employees, and help them go live with those couple of processes. And that becomes the benchmark for the organization to map their processes as well as what they're planning to do within the organization. The next 4 to 12 weeks could be focused on they doing it, they leading the charge, they taking the charge, and we doing the shoulder-to-shoulder mentoring. Right? And we expect that in the 5 to 6 months, they are independent, they are able to run. So it maps to the Spark methodology that you would have heard from Bizagi. Right? Is the enable, empower, and scale. Many times customers want us to support beyond this. It could be for Center of Excellence. It could be just providing the process factory. It could be just providing the support to go live with a few processes, and we continue to do that too. So here we come to the main event. So when we decided to put together this panel, our thought process was, instead of focusing on, because we had this half an hour with us, right? So we thought we could either talk about Latitude, and I can present 20 slides, right? Or let's ask our customers to talk about their journey, because what your focus will be, the initiative that you're running within your organization, is why did they do that to begin with? How did they do it? and what is next for them in their journey. And Citizens Bank Vision Service Plan and GLS, they are in different stages of their journey. And when we go through it, you'll see that Citizens is a little bit ahead of the curve. They have been in this digital transformation journey using this category of tools that called as intelligent process automation for the last almost 24 months now. And VSP started, Vision Service Plan started in this category for in the last 8 months or so. And GLS is fairly new in this journey. So we wanted to get a mix of customers who can talk about these technologies and their experience, and that's what the whole panel discussion. I'll ask first Matt to introduce himself, then we'll go to Rob and Sandra and
Great.
Mike. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Pawan. So I'm Matt Lavoie. I've got about 18 years of experience through government, healthcare, and most recently in the financial space. So it's my pleasure to represent Citizens Bank here today, which I've been with for the past about 8 years. In there, my role is Vice President, Head of Automation, and IB PMS Development. And just one thing I want to highlight is that I don't sit in the technology space of the organization, right? I have got a technology role, but I sit within the commercial operations space and all of those commercial products. Citizens Bank is a financial institution. We've got 2 main verticals, consumer and commercial space, and I'm there representing the commercial business.
Great, thank you.
Hello, I'm Robert Cathy. I'm a Senior Director in Finance at VSP Global, and I'm responsible for our cross-line of business, accounts payable and accounts receivable, as well as our systems and technology planning. I've been with VSP for 17 years. Prior to that, I worked at a company called EDS, which is a technology outsourcing company that no longer exists. It was acquired by HP. So I'm actually a tech background guy who works in finance, so that presents a lot of opportunities to implement technology in an area that doesn't typically use technology. So VSP, how many of you have heard of VSP? All right, a few. So VSP is a global company. Our mission is simply to help people see. Our vision is to provide access to affordable, high-quality eye care and eyewear. And we have industry-leading companies, starting with our Vision Care Insurance Company that has 88 million members worldwide. We also have a frame company where we design and manufacture frames. We design custom lenses. We play in the ophthalmic technology space, and we provide retail solutions to our members and consumers.
Hi, my name is Sandra Knipple, and I've been with Global Lending Services for a good year now. I interviewed for a process specialist role. They brought me in as a loan manager, and now I'm the project lead of our first Bizagi project, so I'm a very unique position here. Global Lending Services, our headquarters are in Atlanta, and we're a subprime automotive lender. We're providing financing to franchise dealerships and help to fulfill our customers' need in getting basic transportation. And the company has always been focused on state-of-the-art technology. And as a company that is growing, they started of where the business originates. So they fully automated the origination process with the pre-approval so that our customers don't have to wait very long to get a yay or a nay on their loans. And now we've grown that much that it's time to not forget about the customer excellency and turning the focus to more of the back end of the processes with the collections and customer service. And this is where Bizagi and Lateetud comes in, helping us to automate some of those processes.
Quickly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Bizagi. I'm the Director of Professional Services and Solutions with Lateetud. I support a lot of our engagements to ensure that the operations goes off with minimal difficulties, if you want to put it that way. We work directly with our clients to ensure that we do a deep dive analysis, put together the business requirements documents. We have a standardized methodology and approach to implementation efforts, which we ensure that we're gathering the requirements, we're defining those requirements, and then we're building out the process according to those requirements that we define. And I work directly with our clients to ensure those projects are launched successfully.
Okay, thank you very much. So as I indicated, let's focus on the initial aspect of why did you decide to use this category of tool set, which we call as, I would put two vectors there. One is it's an intelligent automation tool set, which could be RPA or BPM. And the second is it is zero coding to low coding, right? So so why did you decide to do this? Was it you came from a digital transformation perspective, or was it that you heard about these tool sets and kind of a hot area, so let's just see what it can do, and you got started there? So what was your thought process? Maybe, Rob, you want to start with that? And
Yeah, sure. I was educated about RPA a couple years ago, and when I first heard about it, I was like, is this like automotive robotics, and learned that it's really software. And we happen to have a Six Sigma certified process improvement team, and they reported to me at the time, so I asked them to do some research on RPA, and we really discovered that there was quite a bit of utility for that tool set in our organization. And so we went down the whole path of deciding which software we wanted to go with. We actually chose Blue Prism. And then from there, we decided which partner we wanted to work with, and of course, we chose Lateetud. And the idea that we could automate so many of our manual processes was very intriguing and very exciting. So it's been very rewarding to see that we started in January of this year, and we already have 4 processes automated. We have one more process that's a huge set of processes that's being automated. We're working with Lateetud and Bizagi on that. And we're expecting to save upwards of $500,000 over the next 3 years in terms of efficiency. But then we can reallocate those resources from the back office to doing more upselling and generating more revenue for the company.
And where does Bizagi come in for you? So you started with RPA, now you're on the Bizagi journey.
Yes, so we were introduced to Bizagi by Lateetud, and we're leveraging smart forms. So we're actually using a unique combination of RPA, smart form from Bizagi, as well as human interaction. So we actually have a set of emails that we get. We get about 1,400 emails a day in this particular situation, and people were receiving those emails. They were coming in different formats. So we're leveraging Bizagi to create smart forms so that the data is more structured, so that the bot can then take that data and then move it on to the next process. So as we start, we have the bot doing what it can to populate the smart form from the request. Then that goes to a human. They then add what might be missing, and then that gets moved back to the bot, who then executes the last part of the process.
Great. And Matt, in Citizens, I know that you would have one of the key focus areas and marketing pitches for all these tool sets is that it's focused on business users, enabling business users to do what they want to do, right? Rather than IT buying it and IT owning it. What has been your experience, and when you decided to choose a tool set, was that a defining criteria for you? You could have chosen any other tool set for transformation. Why only this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm sure other people can relate to similar challenges, but being part of a big organization, we have about 18,000 colleagues. Going to our formalized technology department, I'm prioritized against the entire bank, right? So anything I want to get accomplished from my perspective goes into a very large pipeline, gets applied some methodology, and that process takes time. Even when I'm prioritized to the #1 spot, that development and delivery takes time. So that's really one of the primary drivers. The second primary driver for me is really about the business user, right? Who knows the systems better than the people that use them? Maybe not from an infrastructure and technology standpoint, but certainly from what are the challenges, right? What holds them back from doing their job better and more efficiently? And likewise, who knows the processes better and the challenge points in those processes than the business folks? So it's really creating a synergy between my team, which is in operations and in technology enabled, working with the business users to tease out those opportunities and solve the problems that the customers have and where those problems collide with our colleagues accomplishing what we need to accomplish.
So now that you have been in this journey for RPA, you're looking at Bizagi, and we had that discussion, and the numbers that I looked at were kind of crazy, right? So your customer onboarding process takes 59 days, right, on the commercial banking operations side. So to onboard a customer, it takes 59 days. With the redesigned process, a combination of bots and Bizagi, you're looking to bring it down to 25 days?
So we pulled a couple levers, right? So that 59 days, we pulled some risk levers. We pulled a few process change levers outside of Bizagi. That 59 was reduced to about 30 days. By implementing RPA, Bizagi being a key part of that implementation, we're going to take it from that 59 days down to 9 days.
Wow.
So this is something that will differentiate us in the marketplace. There's no other organizations, to my knowledge, that can onboard customers that quickly. And this day and age, the young, affluent folks have this expectation of getting things accomplished quickly.
Yeah. So there's the instant gratification, right? So within 2 years, you have implemented 64 processes, delivered $10 million of savings, and now converting one process from 59 days of delivery period to 9 days, right? So that's on the cards.
Yep, and important to note is I run it for the commercial business, right? So we have an enablement team for RPA and Bizagi, also on the consumer side. So I'm speaking just from my perspective, but citizens-wide, we have about 75 automations running live.
Wow. So Sandra, in this journey, what we are hearing is that, yes, business user is at the forefront, and you're actually empowering the business user to take their destiny in their own hands and do it. Now that you have taken part of that journey, you haven't gone live yet with Bizagi, but now that you have taken part of that journey, it was kind of decided for you, but now that you have taken that journey, what do you feel? Do you think that this is heading in the direction that you think it will go to? You have done some process mapping, you have done some analysis, you have spent quite a bit of time there?
It was really unusual to have the first experiences with the BPM. For anyone who hasn't dealt with that was quite a little bit of a journey to get the head wrapped around, because it's a completely different type of thinking.
That divergent gateway?
Yeah, if you haven't mapped it out, your bus is not going to go there. But once you get to that point and you start understanding of what you're dealing with, and we're right now just entering the development phase, and we're seeing the first results. And I mean, whoever has developed before knows the euphoric feeling if things are finally paying off for what you've worked so hard. So it was pretty cool to see what this all can do, and we're pretty excited to finish the development and see where this will take us, because the process that we're actually using this on has been operated out of an Excel spreadsheet, which is hanging on at its last thread. And it was absolutely not scalable. We're not having the transparency that we wanted to have. And so taking those steps with Bizagi and the BPM software will allow us to add multiple users to that process and create a certain automation, make the process more efficient, and get all the KPIs in place that we need to actually get a feeling of how the process is doing and where we need to still make adjustments.
Yeah, control, monitoring, and continuous improvement. I think those are the themes, right? So let's go to the next aspect of it. So so one of the questions that we keep hearing from our prospects and customers is, how do I get started? Should I do this entire process assessment, figure out the top 5 processes, and then look at that? Or should I just pick a couple of processes based on what I know what these tools can do and jump right into it, right? So I think there's a term that a guy used, something about being crappy, right? So what was your approach, right? Maybe Matt, you want to start. How did you start? How did you decide on that one process which defines how do I start here?
Yeah, great question, right? So I like to look at it like the rubber is going to hit the road, right? We are going to get started and the rubber is going to hit the road. And there's 2 options there. You can get traction and you can start going down the road, or you can spin your wheels, right? So there's 2 aspects of it. It's, choosing the right process, to me, is slightly less important in the proof of concept phase or the rollout phase. Really choosing the right team to deliver for, choosing the right people to deliver for is the critical element. Being a technologist and partially a salesman, as part of my job, it's difficult to sell that, right? But if you deliver for the right team and they become champions of that process and people hear it from their peers of the value it's putting back in their day, their peers get to look at that team for which we've automated or installed workflow and see that all those people are still there, that we haven't forced anyone out of the bank because of those technologies. That's where the rubber is going to hit the road, and you get traction. And I like to pull it back to Field of Dreams. If anyone remembers that movie, I might be dating myself. But if you build it, they will come, right? If you deliver for the right team and they are champions and cheerleaders of RPA or Bizagi, building that pipeline becomes less critical because people will be knocking your door down with opportunity.
Was that your approach, Rob, as well?
Very similar. We took the approach of recognizing that RPA is a proven technology. So rather than doing like a proof of concept, we really wanted to do a pilot. We wanted to commit to implementing this technology at VSP. And so we started in our finance department. And again, one of the things that was critical to our success was our relationship with IT. So it's important to start right away explaining to IT what this is and help them understand that this is a business administered tool set that is governed by IT. And when you set that foundation, at least in our experience, our IT department has been very receptive and they've been a great partner to enable this for us. So we've really taken that partnership approach and taken the approach of the main goal of our proof of concept, our pilot, was to learn. And from there, we can then adapt. So we actually, again, leveraged our Six Sigma team to look at a few processes in finance, and we identified 3 processes that we thought were good processes for us to start with. And so that's the approach that we took.
Wonderful. And this is just to add a comment there. We work with a few customers where the focus seems to be, can I get ROI in the first process itself? So let's choose a process which delivers, let's choose a high impact process. And from our perspective and our experience, that's what we advise customers. Just don't focus on ROI. The intentions and the objectives of this first pilot exercise is much more than the ROI. If you can choose a high impact process, great. But if you're not able to do that, choose a process where you think that it can take you to the goals that you want to achieve. For instance, what Matt indicated, can this group talk about and market your technology to the entire company? That could be one of the attributes, right? Is it less critical for me to do this process so that I can prove out the technology, then handle a high impact process? That's another way to look at it. Sandra, I believe the process that you have chosen, maybe you have achieved a fine balance of both.
Yeah, it was a little bit different for us because we didn't make the strategic decision to find a BPM software and then find the right process for this. We actually had a process that was in desperate need of a solution, and BPM just happened to be that solution.
Kudos to you. So. One of the key things that we come across is you have gone live with one process. Maybe you have identified 2-3 processes, but then you are at a place where everything is looking great. Your management is excited. Now you need to scale. How do you scale? Right? Going live with one process in Bizagi is fine. Going live with 3 bots is great. Now, how do you go to 50 bots? How do you go to 100 processes? Is that a thought process that is going on within the organization now? It is?
I'll start, yeah. One of the things that we did when we first started to explore RPA was we really reached out to some practitioners, right, and got some really good advice. And we happened to talk to one of the leaders at MetLife who gave us some great advice about capturing those future opportunities. And so we've created a backlog of over $2 million worth of opportunity that was generated basically by word of mouth because of the success we've had with our pilot. So we haven't even gone out and promoted this tool set or this capability with the organization. So our plan is to scale up and out and to really have more of a hub and spoke kind of long-term solution so that we enable the business in terms of them having RPA developers, for example, that can do the development, but we centrally schedule the bots, we centrally manage the licenses, and that way we have a good balance of governance, yet giving the business the latitude to execute on RPA faster. than creating a bottleneck of just a centralized.
So you're looking at a federated model where you have a
Yes.
center of excellence and then you have different teams. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. And Sandra, how are you thinking about this from a Bizagi perspective? One process, is it going to lead to now 50 processes that you've already identified, or?
I mean, I guess this depends on our pilot being successful, but I'm assuming it is. I mean, management has already been speaking about other processes where they could see a need for a BPM software. RPA has been mentioned. There might be some good benefits we could get from that, and even like maybe combine those two and like really leverage the benefits that both of those areas have to offer.
Okay, great. And Matt, Citizens has kind of scaled, right? We talked about the numbers that you have achieved. Are you facing any service assurance challenges? For instance, you have gone live with these number of bots. They are doing thousands and thousands of these transactions. They are throwing exceptions. Applications go down, et cetera, et cetera. Can you give a perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a couple things, right? There's the proactive and the reactive. So we make every attempt to get looped in as key stakeholders in the applications we automate, right? So that way we can get ahead of change. We can be involved in any project they have to change those applications, recode, and be ready to coincide with those changes. Looking towards the future, when we're looking at new software for the bank, when we're looking at new vendors coming in and services they provide, we're making RPA and Bizagi a part of that RFP process. We're making sure that any new technologies that come into the bank can be enabled for this digital transformation. We've used some creative things in the RPA space where we have a couple of production bots monitoring the other bots. We can restart services in cases where those go down. We can monitor the schedule and kick off schedule types of processes. So we have some bots monitoring the bots. But we do some other things too. We will turn off a process. We work with the business lines very carefully on what is the recovery plan. What if this automation goes down, right? What's the reasonable time frame we wait for it to come back up, or we start to invoke some of our human capital to work through those processes, and we'll actually take an automation and turn it off for the day, right? It will gauge that reaction time from the business. And just one more thing quickly, that we use these as a digital workforce in the RPA space. Just like managers have human people with capacity or not capacity, they can watch these robots, assign work to them in many instances, and they're the first line of defense. My team is carefully watching the control room in the background to make sure that we're up and running as well. But we have that first layer of defense in the business. That's for whom we are giving the value. And we are there carefully monitoring to make sure to pick up where they may fall down.
And the scaling, what we are seeing is that when you scale with these bots and with whatever digital transformation you're doing, BPM as an orchestrator and controlling mechanism provides you the visibility all across, not only your people, your bots, your documents, your things, right? If you're into the Internet of Things, then BPM as a platform can monitor that as well. So from scalability, from service assurance, from exceptions that you're receiving, how the humans are interacting with it, it's a great way to get a view of that. And that's where we as a system integrator end up recommending BPM as the next level of growth for companies. I think we are right up there with the time. My next question, and maybe one of you can maybe contribute towards it, is what after 36 months? Have you started thinking about this? Okay, BPM is great. What you're doing right now is great. But after 36 months, what does that mean? Is it artificial intelligence? Is it machine learning? Or is it too soon to think about this? There's too many things that you're doing that it will keep you busy for the next few years. Both are nodding heads.
Yeah, all of the above.
Okay.
No. Actually, we are thinking ahead about artificial intelligence, but we're not quite there in terms of forming a strategy outside of, there's a number of use cases we recognize in the business where we could apply artificial intelligence, and certainly we have to learn more about how the relationship between artificial intelligence and RPA can work, as well as BPM.
Okay. So the thought process that we provide to our customers there is look at all your processes as tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, class A, class B, class C. Class A are structured, rules-based processes that can be done easily. So your BPM and RPA and those technologies are can be applied for class A processes. Class B is where your natural language understanding comes in, your unstructured data comes in, your complex rules come in. You can use those technologies there. Class C is where you look at artificial intelligence and machine learning. The first class A and sometimes class B can take up 24 to 36 months or even more for you to get done. Once you have automated all of this, and once you have implemented a BPM platform, you will be collecting a lot of data. You will be able to understand all your processes. That is the time when you can ask a process to learn, because machine learning requires a lot of data. It's a big data thing, right? So you have to have that visibility and data. So level 3 is where you start focusing on that. Right? So that's typically what we indicate to our customers. So having said that, I'll open it up for any questions you may have, any discussions. It looks like we have not much time. One last question. You want to go?
Like we want to hear some failure stories. Like when you start up for the first time with Bizagi or like NotPay too, like the company does not have any such technological background with that. How do you advise to start with that?
So I'll give my perspective and I'll ask them to contribute if necessary. But when you don't have any understanding of that tool set and those technologies, how do you decide which one to choose and how to choose and whether it is good for your organization or not? That's the question, right? So this is where you work with a partner like Lateetud. Having said that, the partners, what they will do is they will come and assess your process. So be agnostic and assess your process. Tell you that this is where you can use the technology and do a proof of concept for you, a pilot for you. And that proof of concept doesn't have to be automating your entire process. It could be just automating your 10 steps in the process. Because as long as you can see that a technology can do those 10 steps, whether it's a BPM or RP or any other technology, then you know that you can scale it up and you can do rest of the steps. So engage a partner, get enabled with them, choose a tool set, and then when you become independent, because business users, from our perspective, they need to be independent, they need to own their destiny. So you figure that out and then move on. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. Anything? Great, thank you very much. Thank you.